morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to have you on the session today, and I hope we're all feeling well and still keeping safe out there. So let's get to meet each other. Just type in the chat box where you're joining us from. So let me also be sure you can hear me. So just type in if you're joining from Lagos, Abuja, wherever you're joining from. So just say your name and where you're joining from. Ayodele from Lagos, you're welcome. Good to have you on the call. I'm glad you all can hear me. Samson, you're welcome. Annie from Lagos, Moses from Lagos. Okay, Moses from Ibadan. Okay, so we have others from different places. Bini, Gideon, you're welcome. Raf from Bayelsa. Awesome. Gibbs from Port Harcourt. Samson from Port Harcourt. Okay, so Lagos is not leading. Let's see if we have people we have Newton from Lagos. Okay, so it feels like we have more of Lagos people and Port Harcourt. Lagos and Port Harcourt are leading. Anyone from Abuja? Anyone from Kano? Anyone from maybe Enugu? Okay, so I'm joining from Lagos. Good to be on the show today. And in order to manage time, let's jump right into it. So I'm going to run us through the agenda for this webinar and introduce our distinguished speakers. So welcome again to this edition of Arnergy Sustainability Series. I'm Izzy Nemeyono, and I will be moderating the session for today. So let me give some background to the reason why we're here and why are we having this conversation, you might ask. Well, the energy crisis is been severe lately, and everyone, if you're in Nigeria, you will surely know or have experienced, either from the fuel scarcity or the diesel hike or even the power grid failure. So you've experienced one of this. But let me ask, just again in the chat box, just type, what's the electricity situation in your area? Like, when last did you have electricity from the grid? How long did it last when they brought it? So if they brought lights in your area, when was that? How long did the lights last? Let's see. Oh dear, someone said horrible. No power for the last 3 days. Wow. Wow. Running on my generator since yesterday. Wow, someone said in Lagos it's terrible. In Ibadan, as we speak, I've not seen light anywhere. Okay, someone said 4 hours per day. That's good, from the grid. Okay. Someone said 3 days ago, there was no light and they brought it yesterday, just 4 hours. I usually have 1 to 2 hours of power on weekends, that's all. Oh, wow. Someone else said blackout since 8 a.m. on Monday. So that's, so someone really wants the 4 hours you're getting every day. So the person getting 4 hours, please, can you spread the light or the good news? But again, this just explains what we're talking about, what is happening now in the country. It's not like this is new, but then this crisis has been severe lately. it's been really severe. And what's the way forward? This has lingered for too long. What's the way forward? Let me shed more light on the scale of Nigeria's energy reliability issues. According to a World Bank report 2020 that I came across some time ago, 85 million Nigerians do not have access to the grid electricity. And this represents 43% of the country's population. And this in turn makes Nigeria the country with the largest energy access deficit in the world. So the lack of reliable power is a significant constraint for citizens and businesses, and this has resulted in annual economic losses estimated at $26.2 billion, which is about 10 trillion naira. That is the equivalent of, I think, about 2% of our GDP. So that's a whooping sum of money, to be losing on a yearly basis. What do we do? What can we do? How do we, mitigate this? How do we move forward? Despite all the conversations being held concerning this subject matter, the energy gap across the entire value chain is still looming, and we know what this money can do for our dear country. We all, we're all here. We all know what's the areas that if we plug the money into, what we can achieve. According to the 2020 World Bank Doing Business report, Nigeria ranks, I think, about 171 out of 190 countries in getting electricity, and electricity is seen as one of the major constraints for the private sector. Now, how do we move forward? So this is why we're having this conversation, and tackle this electricity crisis. Let's hear from the experts. Let's start from the grassroots. Let's see, what do we need to do? What can be done? So we have our amazing, incredibly knowledgeable speakers here with us to tackle this, to discuss this situation, to answer some questions, that we have. But before I get started on that, let me just talk about the company a bit. So the company giving us this platform to discuss this. The inconsistency of electricity, the unpredictable national grid, the value chains energy gap are all major challenges in Nigeria. And Nigerians have been using generators for a very long time and they've all grown accustomed to them. So in fact, having a big generator, a small generator, or even having more than 2 generators is a bragging right for some people right now in Nigeria. So let's understand Arnergy Solar Limited that has given us this amazing platform to discuss this. Arnergy is a distributed utility company that offers commoditized solar plus lithium storage solutions in Africa. And the vision is to provide sustainable solutions to energy reliability issues across emerging markets. At Arnergy, we deliver reliable and clean 24/7 power supply, suitable for powering equipment in your homes, in your offices, and across several verticals. And our products ensure convenience and stability to help you save electricity and fuel costs, providing flexible payment options as well. So let's get back to our speakers. We have Engineer Akimpelu Cornelius Shogunle. He's the Managing Director and CEO of Highland Energy Solutions Services Limited, a Lagos, Nigeria-based diversified electrical engineering and energy integration, automation and controls, utility and resource company involved in development, operation and management of energy-related businesses and services throughout the Federal Republic of Nigeria. His career in electrical power engineering includes system planning and engineering designed for generation, transmission, and distribution projects in the United States. East Asia, and Africa, and including the Federal Republic of Nigeria, obviously. He has complete design, engineering, and technical specification, development, and writing experience in geothermal, fossil, solar, waste for electricity, and alternative renewable energy conversion technologies, fossil engineering operations and maintenance. Previously in his professional career, he was a design engineer and later power systems construction engineer in the fossil engineering. He holds a Bachelor of Science, BSc degree in mechanical engineering, and a doctoral degree in power systems engineering analysis and design from the Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago, Illinois. He's a US registered professional engineer, fellow of the Nigerian Institution of Mechanical Engineers, member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, certified energy manager, and certified plumbing professional. You're welcome again to the session, Engineer Dr. Akim Bello. We're glad and excited to have you on board. So let's move on to the next speaker. So we have Engineer John Funsho Adebayo. He's the chair, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers in Nigeria. Engineer John Adebayo studied electrical engineering in the University of Ibadan and University of Lagos to obtain his BSc and MSc respectively. He worked for the Nigerian Mobile Telecoms Limited from 2003 to 2007. He moved to Huawei Tech, where he installed the Etisalat network end-to-end and supported network operations across West Africa, China. From 2007 to 2014, he joined Ericsson Nigeria on the expansion of 3G RAN networks from 2014 to 2015. He's a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Nigeria. He was the national president of the electrical engineers in Nigeria from 2018 to 2019. And we have a couple of his, a few of his major accomplishments. Design and installation, I'll just run through a few of them. Design and installation of all-in-one solar streetlights for night markets in Nigeria, 2021-2022. He engaged in IEE, OUs, and AGs in the Nigeria section to design and distribute anti-COVID-19 tools and equipment to reduce the F2F and physical contacts during the breakouts of the pandemic in 2020, thereby winning Best IE Site Group 2020. I can go on and on, but let's move on to the next speaker in order to save time. We have Seun Oshoderan. He's the Vice President, Gated Estates at Arnergy. Seun joined Arnergy in August 2019 and is currently the Vice President, Gated Estate, like I mentioned. Seun has over 14 years of experience in sales, business development, strategy formulation, execution, project management, experience gained from telecommunications, financial institutions, and energy industries. Prior to joining Arnergy, Seun was head of sales and channels development of Lumos, where he was responsible for improving market penetration across Nigeria. Seun also previously worked with Alliance Nigeria as group head sales and several other financial institutions. Seun studied civil engineering at University of Ilorin. He's Prince 2 certified and has attended several courses at Lagos Business School. So thank you once again for joining us and our amiable speakers. So we will jump right into the discussion of the day. So the webinar topic that we're discussing is its sustainable pathway to tackling the electricity crisis for homes and businesses. Our discussion points will vary. So we'll discuss from the prevalence of gasoline and diesel generators for local usage, and basically what are the sort of things that we can do. So let me start with Dr. Shogunle. What are the key factors behind the massive usage of generators in Nigeria? Dr. Shogunle, you have the floor. Okay, so we'll just move on to the next speaker quickly. Engineer Funsho, let me come to you while we wait for Dr. Shogunle. So how far do you think Nigerian homes and businesses will endure the hurdles of fueling generators before considering alternatives?
Thank you very much for the question. And honestly speaking, the answer is the continuous fueling of our generators that we'll have to do. Like you said in your introduction, you talked about one person having 2 or 3 generators. That cannot stop. Renewable energy and all other alternative solutions like solar are not permanent solutions to electricity sustainability. So we will keep fueling it. But the other solution is we don't have to use fossil fuel. Okay, there is a water generator, there is a solar generator, there is a chain generator, gears generator, where 2 gears are turning, okay, the motor, and the motor is delivering electricity. So, but generators cannot stop in Nigeria. But the source of powering the motor, the electric motor, is what we need to find alternative to. Generators are meant to be an active component of either a big industrial area or a big residential estate for uniformity and clean energy. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Engineer Funsho. So let's move quickly to the next speaker. So let me apologize on behalf of the speakers. They're actually on transit, so the network might be fluctuating a bit where they are. So let's come to you, Sheung. What are the major requirements that make generators expensive to run?
Okay, so I think I will start from where my former colleague stopped. We will keep fueling. And today, diesel, we know, if you want to run, if you're running a big organization or an estate, you have to depend on diesel. Today, diesel is over 700 plus per liter. And that just makes using generator quite expensive. Even at the days where diesel was at 220, it was still expensive. But right now, we have people spending over $1 million per month on buying diesel alone. Now, the other factor why generator is just not is a no-no, is a high maintenance cost. We have instances where you can't depend, you can't rely you can't predict the total amount you will spend to maintain your generator. So it's gonna eat into your profit margin. You know, I wonder how companies are surviving this year. You know, at the end of this year, by the time we see the audited financials of quite a lot of companies, they would have spent millions buying diesel, you know, and also the wear and tear. For these generators, you know, for every hour, I think maybe at 100 hours or 200 hours or 500 hours, you're meant to service them. And as you know, you use up more hours, wear and tear sets in, and the cost of replacing all these parts of generators, you know, becomes more expensive. So yes, I think I've been able to answer your question reasonably. First is diesel, second is high maintenance costs, and the third is wear and tear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sheung, for that answer. So let's move on to the next speaker. Let me just double check if, okay, Engineer Akimbelu, can you hear us now?
I can hear you very well.
Awesome.
I can hear you.
Okay, sir. So we asked the question earlier, if you can quickly address that. What are the key factors behind the massive usage of generators in Nigeria?
First of all, I think I don't want to be simplistic. The key factor is necessity. You know, it's a matter of absolute necessity and survivability that you need to have some form of electricity production systems. So the only thing that seems reasonably available to our people, it's a generator. The second.
Okay, so I think we've lost Engineer Kimbelu there. So let me also let the audience know, you can ask your questions. There's the Q&A box. So go ahead and send in your questions in the Q&A box, and the panelists will take on your questions as we proceed. So I will get to the questions once we are at that time, but you can start sending in your questions and let's get the discussion going. So I'll move on to the next question. So Sheung, this is for you. How does the running cost of generators compare to that of solar systems over a year?
Thank you for this. I think I have a slide that can summarize this and put things in perspective. And I will show this now. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, if you can put that on slideshow.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay, so Nigeria today, this is basically comparing the cost of using a solar system, a 5 kVA, and also using a diesel generator. As at this morning, if you're buying a 5 kVA diesel, you're spending over 700,000. And I will just come down to what the price of diesel, will likely is as at this morning. And as the assumption is, you're not even running the diesel gen for 24 hours. You're running it for 12 hours at 650 naira, which is way lower than what we have now. In a day, you would have spent 15,600 if you're running that diesel gen for 12 hours. And in a week, you would have spent 109,000. And in a month, you would have spent 468,000. By the end of a year, you would have spent 5.6 million, roughly, in a year. If you continue this way, this is what you would have spent, plus servicing and maintenance. And at some point, you would also realize that this costs, the major driver of these amounts is actually the diesel cost. Like I mentioned at some point, if you also use these generators for a while, after like 3 or 4 years, you would have to replace the generator and still keep spending. Now, on the flip side is comparing it with a solar system, which, it just makes a lot of sense. There are so many reliable systems out there in the market, Arnergy's products inclusive, where once you buy it, your maintenance cost is low and the lifespan is in excess of 10 years. So why queue up every now and then to buy diesel? Sometimes it won't be adulterated diesel and it just messes up your generator. You don't have such cases with solar systems. So this just shows you clearly what you would have spent. The stress involved cannot even be monetized. The time wasted trying to get this diesel can't also be monetized. So it just makes a lot of sense when you see the comparison. You see the pros and cons. For a generator, for instance, the pollution alone. I'm sure you will see most big organizations every year they get to paint the external walls because of fume stains. Imagine having to paint walls every year. Imagine human beings perceiving these stains, these fumes. So in times life expectancy as well, is low because of the pollution these generators are bringing into the environment. Thank you. I think I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much, Sheung, and thank you for sharing that amazing insight right there. The comparison is something else. It's something amazing. Thank you very much. So we have questions coming in. Keep sending in your questions. And we will also, let's run a poll. Let's even understand what people are feeling, what people are experiencing right now with regards to the situation, the power supply situation in Nigeria. So a poll will be coming on your screen now. Just kindly fill in the poll, select your answer, and submit. So let's see, let's have this into perspective. What exactly and how, let's have the data. You know, data is king these days, right? So let's understand what is going on and what people are experiencing. Okay, so yeah, people are filling. So go ahead and fill in the polls now. If you don't have that showing on your screen, you can just type in the chat box so we know. But if you have that on your screen, just quickly fill in. So I'll leave the poll on for another few seconds. So give you time to fill in the poll. Okay, I can see the movement right there. So go on, your results are coming in. Let's give you a few more seconds to drop in your answers. So just select the option that's applicable for you. So where in your region, in your area, what you're experiencing. Okay, so let's have more results. So if you can see we want to end the poll now, but let's give a few more seconds. If you can see the poll on your screen, just choose a response, an option. Let's understand your experience in your area. And while the poll is going on, I can see questions in the chat box. So if you can please send in your question to the Q&A. So to the Q&A section, so we don't miss out anyone. We don't want to miss any question. So please send your question to the Q&A section. Okay, so we'll be bringing the poll to an end now. Okay, so I believe you can see the results of the poll in front of you. So for the first question, we have, how many hours of electricity do you get daily from the grid? And about 32% said 0 to 3 hours. About 47% said 4 to 9 hours. And we have 21% say 10 to 15 hours. I'm really curious about this 21%. Is it recently, or this is on average in a whole year or in a month or something, you know? So that some people who live in areas where they don't have any grid at all can know which area you live in and move. I'm sure they'll be willing to move to that area of to your area to get this number of hours for the grid. And then the second question says, how much do you spend on average every week to fuel your generators for your business or your home? 89% said between 10 to 15 to 50,000 every week. And 11% said 60 to 100,000 every week. So I'm sure this will answer or help us understand what people are going through, right? Like the estimates that Shun just presented for us, we can also see roughly what people, when you compare, you know, the costs of diesel, of, you know, running your generator, it's a huge amount. Okay, so thank you for everyone who participated in this poll. Thank you very much. So let's also proceed to the next question. Dr. Shogunle, so we have a question for you. How efficient and cost-effective are generators in the face of scarcity and rising fuel prices?
That question is oxymoron, need not be asked at all. It is, it's an oxymoron. It should not even be asked at all. It is not cost effective. And, when you are saying efficient, you are referring to how efficient is it for your own business processes, not efficient as an independence on its own. As a system can be efficient, but it is not efficient for your own business processes, because at the end of the day, it is your EBITDA that matters, and if your production costs continue to be on the upward slope, there's no way that your EBITDA is will not reflect or significantly impact it. So the answer is, it is not in any shape, form at all.
Wow, that's the powerful response right there. Thank you very much, Dr. Shogunle. So let's move on to our next panelist. We have Engineer Funshaw. What key benefits do renewable power sources offer Nigerian homes and businesses?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So
okay, I will not give you my video now because I'm in transit. Now,
yes, it's fine. We understand.
Before I answer this question, I want us to be dynamic in our understanding of the electricity as a byproduct. There needs to be a generating source, a transmission source, a distribution source, and a customer end. So it's at the customer end that will measure the usable electricity, usable form of electricity. So now, for the generators we're discussing, we should not only focus on fossil fuel, like I said yesterday. We should also rely on what are the other types of generators we have. We have the GRs. Now, the generator has electric motor, so it requires something to turn it. Either the GS, that's mechanical energy converted to electricity, kinetic energy, mechanical energy converted to electricity energy or electric energy. Or we use water, hydro, to turn that motor as well to produce electricity. Or we use wind to convert the same electric motor to produce electricity. So for our advanced class, I'll be able to give a master class on the sustainable generating sets that don't have to rely on fossils. So let me just answer this question that you asked me directly. Renewable energy sources are the future, okay, of survival for humans, for humanity. There is nothing we can do without renewable energy. The easiest and cheapest and most affordable for us is what Sean just said, solar energy. But we have other sources of renewable energy. So time will not permit me to dwell more on them and their capacities. Okay, so renewable energy is the best for us, and they offer so many opportunities. Aside clean energy, aside noiseless, aside zero pollution, aside longevity, because the cells are micro cells and there are different devices attached to it. An instance, at the customer end, you use energy saving bulbs, which are better than incandescent bulbs. Okay, incandescent bulbs have carbon. When they break, they poison us, poison our fingers, pollute the children. But energy saving bulbs are clean. They are made of lead. We have lead bulbs as well. So let's look at the case of broadcasting or television in our homes. We started from the cathode ray tube, the box, the TV tube, and then we moved to plasma TV. Then we moved to LED TV. Then we moved to smart TV. Okay, so the problem of renewable energy is not, is it good or not? It is the only thing that will make us survive. The investment at this time is high, but the return on investment is much cheaper on the long run.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Engineer Funshaw, for that explanation right there. So I'm seeing your questions. Keep sending them into the Q&A. I have one more question for Mr. Sheung, and then I'll start taking your questions from the Q&A. So keep sending in your questions to the Q&A box. So let's go to you, Sheung. So I have a question. Okay, so there are several questions, but maybe let me try and sort of split them a bit. Can renewable energy systems be relied upon to deliver 24/7 constant electricity? So Sheung.
Okay, so thank you, isn't it? The answer is yes, and it depends on how the system is spec'd. Okay. So when you say renewable solar systems, for instance, it comprises of solar panels, inverters, and batteries. Ideally, during the day, as I'm talking to you, you should be using energy being generated from your solar panels directly. And what is left should go to your batteries to be charged for night use. So which is why I said it depends on how you spec your system. We're lucky in this part of the country, in this part of the world, we have good sunlight. For some parts of Nigeria, like Southwest, for instance, has average irradiance of about 4.5 hours a day of peak sunlight. North is even on the high side, it's about average of 6 hours. So we have enough that can be harvested from the sun that can be used up and also stored for night use. So the answer is yes, you just need to ensure that it's properly spec'd, so that I can serve you day and night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sheung. So you have the answer right there. Yes. And just ensure that the system is properly spec'd. Okay, so let me take some questions from the Q&A. So I have a question from Annie, and it said, given the obvious challenge to power that we are facing, what can we do as individuals or corporate entities to change the narrative? So Engineer Akibelu, let me have you take this. Given the obvious challenge to power that we are facing, what can we do as individuals or corporate entities to change the narrative?
Thank you very, very much. It's a very complex question in the sense that the way our distribution grid is set up now, it's madness as to how it is. The public also been inundated when you find that direction, energy accessibility. The issue is not energy production. As we are talking in Nigeria, there is almost 90,000 megawatt stranded power that is available. Stranded means it's not available to be used. It's just being produced and it's leakages and it goes there. That is there. So the issue is not all that. But our lack of information tends to say that, the distribution network is bad. All of Genco transmission is bad. Yes, they have
Engineer Kimbelu, I don't know if it's from my end, but we're struggling to hear you.
Leakages and so on and so forth.
Okay, so Engineer Kimbelu, if you can hear me.
It is then incumbent on those
Okay, so I'll have another speaker also attempt that question. Engineer Kimbelu's network seems to be really disturbing. So given the obvious challenge to power that we are facing, what can we do as individuals or corporate entities to change the narrative? So Seun, do you want to take this question? You're muted, Seun.
Okay, please, can you take that again?
Yes. So given the obvious challenge to power that we are facing, what can we do as individuals or corporate entities to change the narrative?
Okay, so basically, change is either bottom up or top down. And where we are in Nigeria today, it has to, for us to resolve the energy crisis in Nigeria, it has to be bottom up. That's the honest truth. We have government policies that are supporting the change as well, but whether the honest truth in Nigeria today, we just have to take care of the basic things ourselves. So every time I move around Lagos and I see solar panels on roofs of different, even if it's not energy products, you know, it shows clearly that that change is happening bottom up. So we have instances where, you know, systems have been installed and your neighbor realizes you have lights 24/7, and the next question will be, how did you do it? And the neighbor is willing to switch over. So I think from irrespective of your requirements, there are solar systems in Nigeria today that can meet your energy need, you know, and so that's where we are as individuals. As corporate entities, we also have bodies that are supporting the penetration of solar usage in Nigeria, and I will say thank you to them. We also have companies that are encouraging their staff. You know, they buy these systems for their staff, take out the money from their salary and spread it over maybe 2 or 3 years just to retain their best earns. So at the corporate level, this is being done. A lot of companies are already you know, they're embracing this. I know at some point, what you have is once you get to a certain level in a company, you get a generator as part of the perks of the level, and diesel will be supplied every month. Nowadays, the conversation is diesel cannot be supplied every month again. What's the way forward? Let's go for the renewable sources where you're not even buying that every month. You just pay it one-off, and you know, you're enjoying the benefits. So I think that answers your question a bit, and if not, I will be glad to shed more light.
You did justice to the question. Thank you very much, Seun. I have another question, and that will go to Engineer Funsho. So the question is from Obona Wonsu. What are the negative perception issues that still prevail within the Nigerian market that slows the adoption of solar energy as a viable alternative? And what can be done to surmount these perceptions?
Thank you very much. This is a clear perspective of 2 aspects to the question. The first one is the government policies as we're talking now, there's no government policy that supports the all-in-one, all-around, complete solution of solar or any renewable deployment to any customer premise. Number two, the private sector is struggling to introduce that same method of complete solar or renewable energy solution for the homes. One is policy, one is usability. For the policy, I will not be able to for the government people, but I know Rural Electrification Agency is doing a little in that regard, and supported by the African Development Bank and the World Bank as well. So there are ongoing grants to provide solutions for the unserved and underserved through renewable energy sources, hybrid. Then for the private sector, they are actually at the forefront of this, ahead of the government and ahead of the people. And that's why High Energy is bringing this webinar to enlighten all of us about the solutions they offer. High Energy talked about two solutions, solar and lithium. Lithium storage devices allow you to power whatever you want to power 24/7. And a lot of lithium storages can last over 30 years. And by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, these goals that we have in Nigeria said they will never go to a lot of locations for the next 30 years. So why not go for the easiest way, which is solar? Very affordable. But what I will also suggest is we should look at unmetered solutions for the market women, because it still brings us back to the prepaid issue of the discourse. So it is very easy for us to support rolling out of this. It's very easy for us. I, as the chair of IEEE Nigerian session and also the past national chairman for electrical division of the Nigerian Set of Engineers, all I need to do is to write the necessary authorities and the incumbent presidents and national chairman for endorsement. Okay, and High Energy goes forth. And then we use model cities and estates to deploy what High Energy has. So that's my submission on this. We cannot tackle the government on this. Government is doing its own at its own time. Private sector, e.g. High Energy, we should.
Oh, apologies. I didn't know I was muted. Okay, so thank you very much, Engineer Funsho, for that. Thank you. And I have another question, and that will go to Seun. So this question is from Jeremiah, and he's asking, looking at the per capita income of average Nigerian, how can we subscribe to high cost solar option? Is there a soft template for average Nigerians?
Okay, so there are one of the things that is improving the penetration and the usage of solar in Nigeria today is that we're now beginning to see financial institutions, they're willing to give loans to buy solar systems. About 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. And we've also seen these financial institutions having separate desks just for solar usage, and they allow people spread payments. We also have companies in Nigeria today who are into solar systems who allow you spread payments for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years to own the system. So again, the cost of enjoying the system, you know, that had reduced, as in the entry barrier had been lowered. Arnergy, for instance, today, we allow you spread payment for up to 36 months. If you're a business and we see that your books are good, we can also have another conversation on how we can make it more flexible for you, you know, so that you won't feel the impacts. So just to answer, you know, your question in short, it's possible that's being done. And if you want to learn more and know how you can spread your payments to access reliable energy, we can have a conversation after this session.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Seun. So you've heard that. If you want to get on board solar and spread your payments, have a conversation with Seun after the session. Okay, so just a quick housekeeping things to note. Do send in your questions to the Q&A box. We do not want to lose out any question if you send it to the chat box. So send into the Q&A section so we can pick your questions from there. Okay, so we'll move on to Engineer Akimbelu. So what are the reasons behind the low adoption of renewable energies in Nigeria?
The reasons are multiple, but primarily it's a lack of knowledge, information, or education on the public side. And that is a consequence of the fact that the federal government is the renewable energy strategy, as far as its contribution and reliability is, as a secondary generation sources that can hasten electricity accessibility. Ladies and gentlemen, electricity accessibility is really the critical pathway of what we are talking about. How more people can have access to electricity. And that is where renewable energy, in this case, as a design engineer, when people say solar, I think we need to do justice to give the public a better understanding. When we say solar system is a form of, energy generation platform. It can be combined with some other forms, technical. The general is the fact that in this case, particularly when we are talking about residential and small businesses, is the primary goal in the current market environment. However, a lot of education needs to take place. There's a gentleman that was discussing I think he said, Seun, he was talking about the cost variability, the financial dimension, the financial analysis that makes solar renewable energy more affordable, more preferable. But such information is not fully understood by the populace as a whole. They've been totally confused. So we need to do a better job in terms of the type of technology variability that can serve different purposes. We need to be very truthful and open about, so that people don't mix match objectives. If somebody wants light for 12 hours a day and is trying to tell you, give me the cost for a 5 kW, how long can that go? You understand me? So we need to kind of help them to understand portability of the information in correlation to affordability. But renewable energy, solar hybrid system can be designed for any kind of power accessibility need of the customer. It depends on your pocket.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Engineer Akimbelu, for that straightforward answer. We need to do more. We need to do more education. We need to do more, put out more information on solar energy, on renewable energy, and how it can benefit all. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so please send in.
May I quickly add something that I think should be in the public domain. Make no mistake, the public should not make any mistake. Renewable energy, solar energy is not a substitute for thermal fired. But however, it is the primary backup to thermal fired. And any nation that needs diversification of their generation sources so that we can increase electricity accessibility. Renewable is part number one. Solar hybrid is part number one. And that is the critical information the public needs to know.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that clarification and that input. Okay, so let's move on to Engineer Funsho. What is the impact of renewables on businesses' operational expenses and productivity? So what is the impact of renewables on businesses' operational expenses and productivity? So Engineer Funsho, can you hear us?
Thank you. The simple answer to this question is the impact is 1, sustainable, 2, progressive, 3, successful businesses, okay, and better customer feedback and appreciation. Because like Engineer Kipelu said, the people are the users of all these technologies were proposed. But most times, without numbers, we don't even want their feedback. We don't even ask them to give us feedback about the products and services we offer. But renewable energy will bring shining lights to their homes, sustain their business productivity, increase their productivity and efficiency, and a lot of these devices that are designed with LED bulbs can last 30 years. So it's like a miracle from the usual darkness they always engage in their businesses. And someone that gets to the market by 7 a.m. during fasting, Muslim fasting is starting anytime, he or she will be able to wake up as early as 4 or 5, prepare for the customers because there's solar already. The batteries are fully charged. Everything is set. And can even work late as well. And insecurity will be reduced. So a lot of advantages or benefits that I can't mention right now than these ones I said. I will cite an example of the recent night market installation I did for Yanopaja. We installed over 5,700 solar streetlights, and that enhanced even shop owners not to only close late, but to rest during the day and work in the night. China has a nuclear energy sun that coordinates their workforce. But Nigeria will sleep once it's 7 p.m. because there's darkness. And we don't wake up until maybe 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. because there's darkness. So solar energy sustains home and promotes businesses, either small or large scale. That's the summary I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Funsho. Thank you for that answer. Pretty much is a ripple effect. The ripple effect is huge, you know. Once you start your renewable energy journey or solar energy, what you see in other activities, the positive impact in other activities are pretty huge. Thank you very much for that. Okay, the next question is to Seun. So the question says, is it efficient to deploy renewable energy as the main power source to a home or office? Seun.
All right, so I think Engineer Cornelius helped me to answer that question. So nowadays in the markets today, you have hybrid systems where it helps you select sun as priority, even if you have PHCN. So we have installations at the moment where even if you have PHCN available and there's enough sun, the system remains on solar rather than use your electricity tariff, you know, from other sources. So it is efficient, and the hybrid inverters you have in the market today, they also protect you from surge as well. You know, I know a lot of houses, in fact, if we run a poll now, you would see that a lot of people have gadgets at home and they bought all these surge protectors. You plug it before you connect your devices. You know, if you get a very good solar system, you're already protected, you know, so you don't have to buy multiple surge protectors. You know, it comes in one and it serves the whole house. So that also helps you now. In terms of profit margin, solar system today, once you plug into it, you have an idea of how much you will spend over a period of time. You know, I'm yet to see a reliable solar system that goes through wear and tear after 2 or 3 years. You know, the best systems in town today should give you a 5-year warranty, and the lifespan is in excess of 10 years. So if you do that, it helps you, you know, you can predict your product margin, and you can give better returns to your stakeholders and also to your employees, you know, if you get it, if you do it right. And lastly, maintenance is very insignificant compared to the maintenance of your generator. If you're using it at home or for businesses, I used to tell people, when one of the things I hated the most about generators, you know, at home, is when you've filled it up with petrol or diesel and you want to start it and it just won't start. And you know, you've wasted your time to drive out, buy diesel, you've put it in, you want to enjoy the night, and the generator just refuses to start. And we all know that I'm yet to say generator repair that you will call at 10 p.m. and it will come around. You know, so these are the, you know, reliability conversations that, you know, you can avoid if you do a renewable system. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Seun. Thank you for.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you very much for that insightful information right there. I'm going to come back to you, Seun. I've just seen a comment on the chat box, and I would like you to take that. So the comment is from Azuka, and it says, these renewable energy products are not as green as they are advertised. The byproducts of the production processes are quite toxic, not biodegradable, and etc. So we need to talk about the generated wastes and the challenges with these recycling. So basically talk about what happens to the waste, you know, how's the waste managed and everything. So Seun, can you speak to that?
Yeah, I will quickly, and I'm sure other panelists would like to speak to it. So what I see here is another business opportunity, waste to wealth. You know,
Waste to wealth. Let me
waste to wealth. There are so many opportunities tied to adoption of renewable systems. And I will give an instance. The last Olympics, I'm sure we all know that the medals were wastes that were recycled and plated with gold. They're not 100% gold. So what Japan did was to collect all the phones. So most times they will tell you can swap your phones, and you recycled it and made medals out of it. Now that's an opportunity no one ever thought of. In Nigeria system is anytime I drive around and I see a car that's been abandoned in Nigeria, has anybody ever it's cycle factory, be it for renewable systems or other parts? So that's what I see in response to what you said. Yes, it's an industry, we need to recycle, but it's not just renewable products alone, across other components as well. So I don't know if engineer people would like to speak to that, or maybe.
Okay, so I can see Engineer Funsha's hand is raised. So Engineer Funsha, you can go ahead and speak to that.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Seun. And thank you, Engineer Zuka, and thank you, Ezini. To be honest, the renewable energy sources produced in this century are recyclable and reusable. Now, we have a lot of issues in West Africa. Okay, I would not want to go to what we just faced yesterday because it's still a turning in our fleshes. Now, the problem in Africa is, do we have factories as infrastructures to convert the electronic wastes generated? The GSM came 2000 and 2001 in Nigeria. That's over 2 decades. We still don't have a factory to recycle and reuse these handsets. It is true, whatever we bring in or we couple here, Innoson is producing motor cars. Whatever it couples eventually might have an e-waste damage to the environment if it doesn't have a factory to reuse and recycle what it's producing. So the solution is not to stop renewable energy. The solution is to quickly set up a factory that can allow us to recycle and reuse the main components of the solar home systems for businesses and for homes. So what are the main components of the solar home systems? I'll make it very brief. The solar panel is common. The lithium-ion battery is there. Then the lightning points, which is the LED bulbs and other accessories. So what are the ones that need to be recycled? Glasses don't die. Glasses are fiber, they can be converted into one point to another. Solar panels can degrade to some extent and they can be reused. So all these are available for us to use. It's an afterthought. That's why after this discussion, we need to have another session so that we'll be able to handle this properly. This is our generation. What do we want our children to tell us? We are the ones to solve the problem to recycle and reuse this electronic waste. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Funsho. Thank you. Engineer Kim Elo, would you want to, do you have any addition to that question on waste? You're muted, sir.
Okay, well, oh, sorry, I'm muted?
No, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Let me quickly say, my specialty is gas combustion thermodynamics. I am I'm the one that wrote Lagos State waste to wealth infrastructure. I am a specialist on methane extraction conversion to electricity. I'm the only one that have built a commercially viable municipal solid waste conversion to electricity anywhere in sub-Saharan West Africa. So, but that's not the purpose of today. What I'm trying to avoid is to put the light on solar renewable energy. The diversification. That's why I made, you know, when I first spoke, I said that we should put it clearly. Solar is not absolute. It is a solar hybridization of the diversification of in the area of solar, because the child dynamics is more favorable. Therefore, the public can benefit. Conversion to electricity, how it can be, but that's for another time. For today, for the combination of renewable technologies for conversion to electricity that are practical, that can be cost effective, but they will only be at the direction of the federal strategy .
Okay, sir, we seem to have lost you there. So I will move on to another speaker now. So we have other questions. Engineer Kimpelu, let's move on to another speaker. We have other questions. Your network is still dragging. So Sheung, we'll come to you. We have another question. There have been questions around Engineer Kimpelu. We'll come back to you, sir.
The thermal fire.
Okay, so Sheung, we have a question for you. There have been questions around the reliability of solar systems on social media, especially with government's solar street lights that stop working after a month or so. How does one identify or know a reliable solar system when buying?
Okay, so what I would say first is when you're buying solar street lights, you need to be sure that you're buying from vendors that have been tried and tested. One question I quickly ask is how many year warranty are you giving for your solar street lights? I've heard of 6 months, I've heard of 2 years, and of course the prices will differ. You know, so most times when people want to do things in bulk, they prefer to go through the route of, don't worry, let me just do it. And at least if it works for a day or a week, it doesn't matter. But we have street lights, and I'm sure, you know, my other panelists will allude to these facts. Depending on the lumens and the specification, I know of some companies that will give you up to 2 years for your street lights. You know, so it's just, I think it's basically ask the right question. Whoever's mentioned that, thank you. You know, you can reach out to us. We could advise you, you know, if you need to, or you speak to Engineer John, for instance. I know he's much more experienced when it comes to streetlights. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much, Sheung. I'm sure that answers the question. Let me also let Engineer John Funshaw to give a response to that question as well.
Okay. Can you paraphrase the question, make it just maybe one line?
Okay, so basically, how does one identify or know a reliable solar system when buying? They alluded to the fact that when they are buying solar street lights, sometimes they stop working after a month. So how does one identify or know a reliable solar system when buying, or solar street lights when buying?
To be sincere and very honest with you, I've installed over 85,000 solar streetlights nationwide for the Sustainable Development Goals, the Office of the Senior Special Advisor to the Presidency. I can reliably tell you that solar streetlights are the future. How do you know the quality? It's not by going to Jumia or Konga, it's by using them. Now, the problem is on the PCB board. Is where twins are not the same. A set of twins, they are not the same. Human beings are not the same. Reliability of the solar streetlights and solar power devices are far higher than high voltage devices in capacity, distribution, and transmission in all ramifications, because the devices used to produce these are they are fiber. It's just fiber, that's it. And fiber doesn't die, okay? And it's using natural resources, that is the sunlight, to power its own lithium-ion battery, which doesn't swell. That's the difference between the dry cell, lithium-ion, and the wet cells. Lithium-ion batteries don't swell. So when the sun charges your lithium-ion to the optimum, it stores it, it doesn't charge again. It comes out in the night, discharge, it can even last for 3 days. So the best way to know it is on the point of purchase, test them for the hierarchy of illumination. So from my own experience and the installations I've done so far, there are 3 levels of minimum installation required The button, you press it 3 times, it comes on 3 times, 3 levels of illumination. The 4th one is the optimal one. So if it goes to the 2nd level of illumination on purchase, and it doesn't go further than that, even if it's giving you, let's say 10,000 lumens, for instance, and 75 watts, it might not perform optimally after 1 week or 2 weeks because it's not charging. So you need to take it out to the sun, charge it properly before you install it. Again, to rephrase what I said, that is when you determine if it's working, if it's going to work well, if it's not going to work well, by pressing the button based on illumination.
All right. Thank you very much, Engineer Future. Thank you very much for that answer. So we have another question. This is directed to you, Shion. So it says, hi, Mr. Shion, do you have a solar system at home? If yes, how old is the system? What is the size of your system? And how is your experience with it so far?
Okay, so do I have a solar system at home? The answer is yes. How old is the system? It's over 2 years. What's the size of the system? It's 5 kVA. And how is my experience with it so far? I would say perfect, because it serves me day and night. I can't, at least this year, I've never put on my generator. And recently I realized that my PSN line had cut off, so I actually didn't notice, and I don't have intention of reconnecting it. So I rely solely on it, and it's working perfectly.
Wow, thank you very much, Shion. I'm sure whoever asked that question, Newton, you have the answer right there. So his solar system is working perfectly. In fact, he didn't even realize when PHCN cut off, the line. So if you want to know how Shion is doing it, how he got it, everything, just reach out. So you can just send a message, send in your contact details, and we will connect you. Okay, so we have another question. Why does solar system pack up after days of installation, e.g. inverters worth of thousands or millions of naira? If I install, so it's a follow-up question to the other one. If I install a solar system, can it give me 100% assurance like NEPA that my freezer will be frozen at all times, not chilled? I mean, frozen, blocked. So let me start with, I would like different speakers to actually attend this question. So for the first bit, why does solar system pack up after days of installation? Engineer Kimbelu, if you can do us the honors, and then we'll come back to you, Engineer Funshaw, and then Shion, you take the last bit. So Engineer Akimbelu. Okay, Engineer Akimbelu, are you here with us? Okay, let's move on to Engineer Funshaw. Feels network is really bad today. So Shion, maybe we'll move over to you.
All right. So why do
Mention my name.
Okay.
Engineer John, are you there?
Yes, this is Engineer John Funshaw.
Right. Okay. All right. So do you want to attempt the question?
Can you rephrase it again? It's cracked.
Okay. All right. So the first part of the question says, why does solar system pack up after days of installation, e.g. inverters, worth thousands or millions of naira?
Okay, let me take the first part of the question. Now, the solar system, like I said, is divided into the panel and the charging system. Okay. Now the charging system is connected to the battery. So it depends on the battery type you used. Usually the solar panels, they spend 20, 30 years before they get spoiled. Okay. So, and the charging point, the charge controller doesn't have any issue with it. But the battery source are the ones that need to be properly looked into. So when you're determining your solar home systems or solar business systems, which battery types are you using? Are they wet cells, dry cells, or lithium-ion batteries? Those are the ones that will determine when they pack up and how long they last. A case study of your battery in your car, okay, where you have to top up. So that's the response for that first part.
Okay, so I'll have Seun take the second part of the question. So Seun, over to you.
Okay, so the second part is, if I install a solar system, can it give me 100% assurance like NEPA that my freezer will be frozen at all times? I mean frozen and blocked. So the answer is yes. And back to what I said initially, what we do at Arnergy is to spec rightly. So if we know what you want to achieve, that will inform the capacity we will give you. So for instance, if you want to run your business from 8 a.m. till 4 a.m. and another company wants to run business 24 hours, the specification would be totally different. You know, if you're running 24 hours, you need enough panels and also enough batteries. If it's during the day, you need more of panels and less of batteries. So once we know the appliances you want to run, and we know the number of hours you want those appliances to run, then we'll spec accordingly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Seun. Thank you for that answer. I'm sure the person that asked that question has been answered, but if you do have a follow-on question to that, you can just type it in the Q&A. So let's move on quickly. Our time is far gone. So I'll move on to you, Dr. Shogunle.
Yes.
So many people are seeking alternatives to the national grid and generators. What should they consider before choosing a viable alternative?
Well, I think the factors that they need to consider are not exclusive, and they're no different from the factors that Engineer Funshaw and others have mentioned. You know, the viability of your requirement, your own CapEx, what is your business process, availability, or what you will call SLA, you know, cost factor. I mean, those things, because the amount of money you want to spend must be proportionate.
Okay, so we've lost Engineer Kimbelu. I have a question on the chat box from Ralph. Apologies, I missed that earlier. So let me just quickly take that, and one of the panelists will do justice to that question. Engineer Kimbelu. Okay, so one of the major drivers of migration to cleaner sources of energy is the implications of fossil usage on our health.
Value outcome.
and to the environment. These costs are difficult to quantify. Are there any indicators in the deliberations here on the environmental/health challenges? So let me take that again. One of the major drivers of migration to cleaner sources of energy is the implications of fossil usage on our health and to the environment. These costs are difficult to quantify. Are there any indicators in the deliberations here on the environmental and health challenges? Sheung, can you take this question, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry, network was cracky. I didn't.
Okay, so let me just rephrase that. So this person is talking about the major drivers for migration to cleaner sources, and also the implication of fossil usage on our health and to the environment. So these costs are difficult to quantify, he said. So are there any indicators in the deliberations here on the environmental and health challenges?
Okay, so we have numbers to back this up. You know, the emission, what we've saved for every panel being installed, you know, the impacts, the environmental impacts, but that's not detailed. We've not provided that for this, that's not available during this session. So I guess what we'll do, we'll get your details and we'll share that information with you, but we don't have it readily available. But it's something we track. It's something we track from our. So we have a team in-house, environmental ESG group. It's one of their core focus at Arnergy. So we can get that information and share with you.
Awesome. Okay. So Ralph, I'm sure you have heard the response from the panelists. So if you have, you can share your details if you want to get the data, you know, regarding this particular question, you know, what you're saving, for any panel you install, what's you're saving, and literally the lives that you're saving, or there's a saying, the number of trees that you're planting. So thank you again for your questions. We are looking at our time and we still have some questions to cover. So if we're not able to take on your questions, please send in your email and we will answer and send the responses to you. We're coming towards the end of this session, so we'll just quickly breeze through maybe one or two more questions and bring the session to a close. So if you have questions that you still want to ask, you can send it in and we will just put them together, respond and send to you. So let's come to Engineer Funsho quickly. What kind of reliable suppliers should homes and businesses consider when investing in renewables? So what kind of reliable suppliers should homes and businesses consider when investing in renewables?
Thank you very much. Like I said earlier in some of our discussions, your location will determine what you need. So I'll look at Lagos State as an example. If I have to recommend a vendor or a supplier for renewables, I'll recommend Arnergy. Okay, for your business and for your homes, because from the scope of procedure and the scope of work of the projects done by Arnergy so far, they focus on sustainable small businesses and enterprises. So, and this is an only one solution. When you're looking at Nigeria, for instance, forget the fact that everybody is saying, I don't have light more than 4 hours per day. There's no light at all. And it's not sustainable at all. So the market woman only wants to sell her market late in the night when people close from work, and also very early when they are leaving for work. So if you want a total all-in-one solution, is Arnergy or off-the-shelf products. Get them and use them. Not that you'll be waiting for right of way to construct some invisible infrastructure that is not sustainable. The world has moved further from grid networks to off-grid. So off-grid is the way forward that can sustain humans. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Engineer Funsho. So you've heard him. If you want to get on board solar energy, choose Arnergy, right? Arnergy is your reliable solar energy company that can power whatever energy needs you require, whether for your homes or for your businesses. Okay, so the next question is to Seun. Are there renewable energy companies that offer flexible payment options for their solutions?
Well, thank you. So we have a couple of banks that Arnergy had partnered with. All right. So if you want to spread payments, we could help you. We could introduce you to them. They will do their due diligence, and we'll send our invoice across to them to make payments to us. So like I said earlier, a lot of banks, they've created departments, renewable departments already. And that just shows us that they are ready to deal in the renewable space. And we're glad to be partners with a lot of these banks. There are also some other financial bodies, not commercial banks, that we've also been able to sign up. And they're also willing to allow people access renewable energy at an installments and payments and terms. So we will, I'm sure numbers, in fact, the email address we're saying, sales@arnergy.com. If we get an email from you now, we will respond and tell you how to go about the process to activate such repayments plan that will meet your need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Seun, for that. So you have the contact details, sales@arnergy.com, sales@arnergy.com. So send an email if you want to get on board solar energy, if you want to spread your payments. We have flexible payment options available to you to choose from. We have a second poll, but we seem to be having some technical issues right now, so we're unable to start that poll. Maybe I can ask the question and then see the responses we get on the chat box. So just to understand some perspective for the different regions that you've joined from. So different regions within the country. So the question said, what alternative energy sources or methods do Nigerians have in their respective regions, in their locations, to gradually reduce the lacuna of energy we experience right now? So let me give you a bit more understanding of of this question. For some areas, you have maybe, for example, in the North region, you have the wind. There's abundance of wind, right? So wind energy can be an option there. So for different regions where you are, so you can just type in, I can give you some options and you can just type in anyone that doesn't fit into the options. You can type in whatever you think that can work in your area. So is it wind? Is it solar energy? Is it hydro energy? Is it gas energy, or whatever other options you have? So let's hear some responses on the chat box. So let's see, we're just deliberating, seeing, joining heads together, discussing these issues, tackling these issues will sort of give us, it's a head start, right? And it will give us the ideas that we need to kickstart, some things that maybe we haven't started already. So let me repeat the question. What alternative energy sources do Nigerians have in their respective regions? So for whatever region that you're in or you're very familiar with, what are the energy sources you think that can gradually reduce the lacuna of energy we experience right now? So let me hear your response in the chat box. So I'm seeing solar energy. I'm seeing, okay. So, well, I know we have abundance of sun, so maybe solar might be more rampant, but whatever options, what other, okay, solar seems to be taking more, taking the lead now. Okay. So maybe we put more energy on solar, right? Wind and solar. Okay, so we have wind and solar, we have solar energy. Oh, we have hydrogen. Interesting. Okay, so we have light hydrogen. We have a lot of work to do, guys. We have a lot of work to do. But again, I would want to say thank you, everyone. It's been an interesting session. Our time is far gone, really. We've spent so much time deliberating on these interesting points and discussing these questions. Again, if we're not able to take on your question, kindly send us an email. You can send to sales@arnergy.com and we will address the question. We've come to the end of the session today. Thank you all for taking out time of your busy schedule to join us. We appreciate your presence, your contributions, and your questions. Conversations like this are a step in the right direction towards achieving a country free of energy crisis, and that is where we are. Like our amiable speakers have said collectively, we all have a part to play. So on these notes, I will leave you with this. Life doesn't always give us what we deserve, but what we demand. So we must continue to demand and push harder towards achieving the electricity that we all deserve. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, our panelists, for joining us today. And we appreciate your presence. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Arnergy, delivering reliable energy solutions on your terms.